The blue water of a seemingly endless, massive lake glistens in the midday sun. You're standing on the eastern shore of Lake Turkana in what's now Kenya, just over 1.5 million years ago in the Early Pleistocene Epoch. Around you, others have come to drink from the lake. There are double-tusked warthogs, relatives of those that roam Kenya today, along with wildebeest ancestors and kudus, a kind of woodland antelope. And it's no wonder they're thirsty. The air is warm, the temperature over 30 degrees Celsius as the sun beats down relentlessly. It's fine for the moment, but you'll need to find somewhere with some cover soon, before the hottest part of the day sets in. And the presence of the kudus tells you that there must be trees nearby. Sure enough, you watch as they finish drinking and bound away from the shore, heading towards the edge of a patch of forest that you can just barely see when you squint. Walking towards the shade of the trees, you notice a volcano in the distance, one of several that sometimes blanket the landscape with thin layers of ash. And while you're looking up at the towering mountain, you stumble over some oddly shaped rocks. You pick one up, turning it over in your hands. It's made of gray stone that has been carefully modified, napped into a large cutting tool with two sharp edges. You know that more than one human relative lived in this place at this time, but you have to wonder which ancient handyman crafted this tool. A potential clue appears at the edge of the woodlands as an upright ape climbs down from a tree. It's Paranthropus boisei, a hominin known for its massive jaws and chewing muscles. For a moment, your gaze meets theirs. It's the first time you've ever looked into the eyes of another species of hominin, a human relative more closely related to you than to a chimpanzee. But this prehistoric staring contest is over almost before it began, interrupted by a group of taller, long-legged hominins running by, startling you with their numbers and steady pace. They move easily through a stretch of grasses. These other relatives of yours, Homo erectus, seem to be thriving in this habitat. And they're not the only member of our genus Homo present. Homo habilis, another extinct cousin of ours, is also somewhere nearby, and not too long ago, a fourth member of the hominin family tree roamed this landscape. As you make it to the shade of the trees, you peer through the foliage, hoping to catch a glimpse of more of your ancient relatives. The idea that here encounters with other upright walking, tool-wielding, large-brained hominins are normal blows your mind, because it's a wildly unfamiliar feeling. Today, we Homo sapiens are used to being the only hominin on the planet. Yet our current state as lone survivors, you begin to realize, is the exception, not the rule. But it's not all peace and harmony. While Homo and Paranthropus have coexisted for over 1 million years, the environment is changing. Recently, some of the wooded landscape has given way to grasslands. The climate has also become more variable, shifting rapidly between wet and dry periods. The hominins were shaped by this dynamic landscape and its borderline volatile conditions. And while this might have led to their diversity, it might also be why some lineages will survive the coming years and others will disappear. In this unstable time, some animals prosper while others struggle to adapt. This period is one when many species of mammals go extinct and others emerge, hominins included. It's a time when behavior might be the key tool that makes all the difference. Which of our relatives will make it out of the early Pleistocene, and will you be one of them? Hello, and welcome to Eons Surviving Deep Time, a podcast that gives you a human's eye view of what trying to survive in the past might have looked like. I'm Callie Moore, one of the hosts of PBS Eons, a YouTube channel about the history of life on Earth. And I'm here with Blake DiPastino, one of my co-hosts, to figure out if we would have been dead or thriving if we were dropped into the early Pleistocene epoch. Hello, Blake.
How's it going, fam?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm feeling good about this.
You're feeling good. Good.
Yeah.
I just want to know how weird it would be to encounter another hominin, like what? Especially like 3 different ones, potentially.
Yeah, like probably the definition of uncanny, right? Like familiar,
but
not quite the same, not quite as what you recognize it to be,
Right. It's
sort of like when I go to a family reunion on my dad's side of the family, like the Italian side is sort of like we all look different. And like our names all end in a vowel. So like we're related somehow, but like, I don't know. I'm more closely connected to the Russian and Polish side. talk about meeting a stranger. It'd be scary. You talked about the staring contest, right? Like you're sizing each other up. Who's stronger than who's more agile than who. That's probably the second thing I look at, And then how smart do they seem?
Yep.
Like, are they holding any tools? Are they speaking the language?
There's so many unknowns. It would be wild. It would be absolutely wild. So what's one thing that you know about the early Pleistocene?
I feel good about this venture because the last time we went to the Permian and let's never speak of it again.
It was rough. It was rough.
Here we have a warm, if anything, maybe too warm, perhaps too arid climate. That's my only concern. But you got other folks around and plenty of megafauna, and some of them are pointy and scary megafauna, but a lot of them also seem delicious and edible. So is that the one thing that I know is sort of before it became very cold.
Right.
I've never been to Africa, so I'm thinking sort of New Mexico in August,
Yeah, could be. And this is also when the early Pleistocene is when our genus Homo emerged. So that's yay for us. We're on the scene finally in the early
Pleistocene. Well into it, right?
Well,
Max, not Homo. I'm thinking of our species.
Yeah. Just our genus arrives. And we don't really know why or how it evolved, but at this point we're seeing multiple species within the genus living alongside the other genus, Paranthropus. So that's nuts that we have multiple species of our genus and a whole different genus of hominin at the same time in the same place.
With whom we share a pretty close ancestor, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Homo erectus is thought of as our kind of direct ancestor that split off on to all different roots or whatever, but probably the closest one and probably closest looking to us at this time. So taller, longer legged, bigger brained, probably okay, that's a human. Yes, if you were to look at them.
Very smart, very well traveled.
Very well traveled. Very well traveled.
I was really rooting for them for a while.
I know. They were around for 1.5 million years. My goodness. One of the reasons why we think that Homo made it through this period and others didn't is because Homo was more flexible. There was also an increase in meat consumption around this time, which is kind of a larger part of this more flexibility, and Paranthropus was more specialized. It was the vegetarian hominin like myself. So not the best time also to be a vegetarian, as I'm finding out none of these times are a good time to be a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Even though they might have eaten some meat sometimes, I probably have accidentally ate some meat here and there as well, not knowing that it's in my food, but it's all right. But just life among the other hominins would have, again, just been wild.
Where was Homo habilis? I don't know if it's time for me to get into questions yet, but I don't know much about behavior and diet of erectus. Sorry, not habilis, erectus. Were they as generalized as we are in terms of diet?
Which one?
Erectus.
Erectus. Yes, they were more flexible. So they probably were eating roots, tubers, insects, possibly even honey, which we'll talk about later, all sorts of stuff that they were eating. So they weren't more specialized like Paranthropus was. So generally eating foresty plants and things like that versus just kind of if I could put it in my mouth, I'll eat it type of thing.
That's my sense. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's based on my passing familiarity with the early Pleistocene, especially in this part of the planet. It seems like we have a lot of options and we're good at exploiting options, right?
Right.
Never ending soup and salad bar.
Exactly.
So MB is better qualified for this than I am because they can just go around and, I don't know if you've walk down a street with them, but they're just picking stuff off trees and shrubs and eating it. And I'm putting rocks in my tongue to see if it sticks,
Yeah, we each have our own strengths.
Yeah.
So we have some categories of concerns for our hypothetical time travel. We've got the planet, we've got food and water, we got animal hazards and environmental hazards. Which one of those four is your first priority going back to the early Pleistocene?
Boy, don't make me choose. I feel pretty good, again, compared to End Permian, So I'm less concerned about any sudden kind of climate event or anything like that happening, or volcanism or anything that we had to go through last time. I'm a little worried about aridity and availability of water, especially again where we are. And then I'm not so much concerned about critters as I am about other hominins and competing for resources, because I know that things are going to change pretty quickly.
Right.
And so there's gonna be a lot of competition, and we got to get to know these folks.
Well, let's just start with animal hazards then.
Okay.
Sounds like a big concern. That's one of my biggest concerns going back.
See, it's not really for me. I'm more concerned about other folks.
But
and
those
then
are other animals, though.
Oh, I mean, okay. I'm thinking about those folks.
But we are animals.
I mean, there are things like Cevatherium. Doesn't it live around in this place and time?
Shivatherium, yep.
Yeah, which is like big, scary big, but not like I'll be bite-sized to it, but I don't think it'll be interested in eating me.
No, because it's a giraffid.
Right, a giraffid.
Yeah.
But like so big.
So big.
Again, it's sort of like you. It could eat me by mistake.
Right.
Like it's just browsing, and maybe there's some bacon bits in there. It's like, what was that? Oh, well.
I don't know. Like I said, I think, well, there's a lot actually to be afraid of. This is like a megafauna bonanza here. So, and we, like other hominins, are extremely vulnerable because we're slower and we're softer and we're not as sharp sensed as some of the other carnivores on the land. So, that scares me because I would not do well in modern Africa, and we have more megafauna in Africa in this time.
Yeah.
So I would do doubly worse by this time. So our best defense, I guess, is our clever brain and how we use it. So making tools, making traps, singing and dancing to distract.
Well, carnivore-wise, who else is out there? Who should I be looking out for?
So we've got several that we need to worry about. And we actually know that some hominins were prey for certain carnivores. So we got snakes. We've been battling snakes since before we were upright. So we've always got to worry about snakes. And we got big cats, maybe lions, possibly lions. We don't have any direct evidence of lions and hominins interacting, but there were definitely big cats because we have evidence on this one hominin called SK54, and it has like leopard bites on it.
It's tongue child, isn't it?
Well, tongue child has the eagle puncture marks in its eye
that's what
orbits.
I'm thinking of.
Yeah, so we got eagles. We got big eagles.
Whew.
That is eating hominins already. So they're already looking at us like a tasty meal. And we definitely have leopards and other big cats, but we also have hyenas. So there is a specimen of Paranthropus robustus, and it's a child's skull. And there are puncture marks that were probably made by a hyena.
Oh, I've not heard of that before. Okay. That's troubling news for me.
Yes. And then to wrap it all up here, there's a Homo habilis foot from Eastern Africa that has tooth marks that match a crocodile.
Yes. I do remember that, but I'm not doing any laundry in the river. I'm staying. We do have concerns about water. I have concerns about water, the availability of it, especially as the climate changes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so shoot. Now I have to think about crocodiles too.
Yeah,
dang.
We got crocodiles, hyenas, eagles, leopards. One other thing that we didn't have to worry about in the Permian is viruses, parasites, and bacteria, because this is one of the first times that you might actually catch something. I mean, these are our relatives. These are our close relatives. So don't be exchanging any bodily fluids, and maybe stay away from other hominins if they appear to be sick, because it turns out yaws, which is contagious, it was identified in a 1.5 million year old Homo erectus. And there's a site in Georgia, the country, not the state, where there's a presence of treponemal disease in the population that's at least 1.7 million years old. And this is like the precursor to like syphilis.
So I never thought of it. This is the first time that there are folks that we can catch stuff from.
Yes. So some of these diseases we can actually see on the bones. They do leave some type of marker on the bone. These treponemal diseases, including yaws and whatever was affecting that population in Georgia, again, country, not state,
So
would be
this is the
pretty
first
awful.
time where we can catch stuff from other folks.
Right. Again,
Huh.
don't share bodily fluids with anybody at this time.
Okay. Boy, I think I underthought this then, because I was thinking, maybe we can get into like resources later, but I was thinking more about like you got your ungulates, you got like buffalo and sort of like cattle-ish animals. And I thought, cool. I just need a spear of some kind, stone point hafted on a stick.
Perfect.
And people, there are other, like our friends are already making tools.
Mhm.
So like tools are around, and I will just hunt delicious animals. But
Yep.
now I'm concerned because I have not given this enough consideration.
You are predator and prey.
Always, right?
Always, yes. You also have giant baboons. So we have Dinopithecus, which means terrible ape, and it was about twice the size of modern baboons, which also freak me out. Just
Oh,
seeing their
yes.
normal size, and now they're twice as big. So some of these got up to like over 100 pounds. So like 40, 50 kilograms. So yeah, even sometimes they think that the estimates for like the males got up to about 170 pounds, which would be about
Oh,
77 kilograms. And then there was another one, Theropithecus, which was thought to get up to about 160 pounds, 70-ish kilograms. So giant baboons. Gotta watch
okay.
out for.
See, I
And
didn't even know about those.
I didn't either. This was news to me as well. I mean, why not? Why not?
Ah.
Everything else got big in the Pleistocene. Why wouldn't
Right.
baboons? Just the risk of getting squashed by a megafauna, like getting
Yeah.
caught in a stampede or
Mm-hmm.
just making somebody mad and they're just like, nope.
Like Shivatherium, like, oops.
Snuff you out. Yep. Just ram you with its ossicones or whatever. And then you've kind of mentioned it before, but we have other hominin species that are in competition for resources. So Homo erectus has emerged as a carnivore. So you'd have competition there. Would they eat us? I hope not. I hope we would not look like we were on the menu. But we definitely should try to be friends first. We come in peace. I'm not sure what skills we could show off other than like making fire. If they're not already making fire, we could make
Interesting.
it for them. But like, I'm assuming their tracking skills are going to be better than ours. I'm assuming they're going to be way more in shape than at least me. At
Yeah.
least me. But maybe not making traps yet. So if we could make traps, be like, look what we can do. Look what we can do. But we're gonna
Yeah.
have to like, and I also mentioned singing and dancing. I'm not sure if they had singing and dancing. Probably not my singing and dancing.
Singing and dancing.
Like, look at my moves.
Is this? Are you thinking of this as a defensive weapon or an offensive weapon?
Either or.
Because I don't think you and I have ever done karaoke together, but it's not a skill that I have.
Oh, me neither. But they
Okay.
don't know that. They don't know that. I'm just gonna have to like go to the recesses of my brain and try to figure out the songs that I know all the words to. Just belt out some Sublime and see if they like it.
Right. I can see that being, for me, doing it scary. I can see that being intimidating. Not impressive necessarily, but
I
like,
don't know. Or are
they
we
will
just
leave.
we're gonna be the 21st century jesters. They're just gonna laugh at us. They're just gonna be like, oh yeah, don't kill them. They make us laugh.
Yes. Yeah.
None of my skills, my 21st century skills don't really translate to 1.5 million years ago. Like,
has gotten me out of many situations. It's just be humorous
yeah,
until they get bored with you.
right. And then watch out. Just watch out. Yeah.
Singing
So
and dancing.
there are
Wow.
quite a few animal hazards.
Can we go back to fire though? Because I know we've done episodes about this, and I don't remember offhand what the data tell us.
Mhm.
But so anthropogenic fire. This was a thing by this point, right?
Right. Yeah. So
So are we gonna wow anyone by like knocking some flint together and some dried leaves and making a fire, or
possibly.
is that gonna be impressive?
That could be impressive. So actually let's just jump into some other things. So for the predators, the animal hazards, we got a lot. We are vulnerable. We have other hominins. We've got megafauna squishing us. We got giant baboons and snakes and big cats and hyenas and eagles and parasites and bacteria. So
Yeah.
that's not looking great. But when we think about like food and water, let's talk about the fire aspect of it. Because there is some evidence that early hominins, some of these hominins were harnessing fire. We've got a site at Kubifora where scientists have used multiple lines of evidence to show that there is an association of fired material plus artifacts plus bone at one site. So, to do this, they sampled the site looking for microscopic evidence of fire in the form of ashed plant remains, siliceous aggregates, so basically like burnt rock, and microscopic charcoal. And they also looked at concentrations or like clusters, like patterns of bones and tools to see if there was like a high frequency of artifacts spatially associated with burned material. So you'd expect to see the highest frequencies of burned material to be spatially clustered. Because if you're burning something on a fire, it's just right there. And so all that stuff would be there. And they did. They found this. However, that doesn't prove that the hominins were controlling or making fire, but it does provide evidence of an association between fire and hominin behavior.
Okay.
Yes. So we don't know that they were napping and making their own sparks or using
Interesting.
hand tools or anything like that, but they were at least using fire when available and cooking or using it to cook. Maybe cooking? Who knows? But they were messing with it. But I think if we could make our own fire, just like poosh, or like bring a lighter with us, oh my God, that might be the smartest thing to bring is like a lighter. Just
I've
like,
already been thinking about that. That was
boom.
not on the list, actually. So that if it's already a thing, then why do I need to? Anyway, can we go back to artifacts at this site?
Mhm, mhm.
When we talk about artifacts, what are we talking about here?
Like flakes, stone tool
Okay.
flakes, any kind of stone tool that's there. Whenever you're skinning an animal or anything like that, your blade will go a little dull. And so flaking off a new surface will give you a sharper edge to work with. And so they were
Interesting.
constantly modifying the tools that they were using to make sure they had a sharp edge.
But nothing like bones with cut marks on them, signs of butchering, that sort of thing.
I don't think that this site had big enough bones to see that.
Okay.
They were
So that would be
burnt.
interesting, right?
Yeah, burnt bone flakes. Well, we do have evidence of cut marks on bone. So we know that at least Homo erectus was processing meat. They were cutting meat, they were getting it off the bone. So they were definitely doing that. But at least at the Kubifora site where they found this association of fire and artifacts and burned bone, the bones are just little chunks of bone.
I see.
But again, us showing that we can just make fire and not have to worry about like a lightning strike or something would be pretty cool.
Totally. Especially like if Paranthropus is in the crowd and like them with their cracking nuts and whatever, and then they see that and you're like, oh, this guy has skills.
Yeah. Big man on campus right here. Yes. Exactly.
And then we can like sing and dance around the fire.
Exactly.
To compound.
What would be, okay, this is way off in left field, but what would be the first song or rhythm?
Oh, that's the first thing I started thinking about. I don't have an answer to that yet.
Like, will we start like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star? Like start low? Would we like jump to like Kumbaya or something? Like would we just start with a clapping rhythm? Like to see if they have rhythm?
Oh, that's interesting. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
That would be a good place to start. Yeah.
Yeah. Just start with rhythm and then work up from there. Having our ancestors
How do you sleep
singing
when your beds are burning. Would they get that?
I don't think that any of our words would make anything. I'm pretty sure they don't speak English. Period.
Yeah, I'm also a little pitchy, so maybe that's not the tune for me.
They're
But
not gonna know.
I'm thinking of like fire themed songs. There's gotta be something.
We didn't start the fight. Oh my God. Oh, now you've got me thinking of fire songs too. Oh man.
We didn't start the fire after we literally started a fire.
After we literally started the fire.
But again, they're not
They're not gonna know.
They're not gonna
know. They're not gonna know. They're not gonna
That's how we're gonna introduce our species to another species is by like lip syncing the worst Billy Joel song.
Yep. Congratulations. You've met time travelers. Billy Joel.
Yeah. And bonus, they learn like all of the 20th century in like 3 minutes.
Exactly. I know. My
Got a terrible
whole
song.
songs that I know from start to finish are pretty small. Like that I could actually just like whip out, and
Yeah,
like
me too.
sing it. So they're just going to get a bunch of choruses. They're just going to get choruses because that's the only ones that I can remember. So fire. There is fire. They are using fire. We don't know if they're making it or controlling it, but there definitely is fire. Now, you have been worried about water.
Yes.
Been worried about water. And actually, there's ample, reliable access to fresh water. We got lakes and we got rivers fed from the Ethiopian highlands.
Okay.
The lakes are going to be scary because there's crocodiles in them.
Oh, I thought they were in rivers. I was going to say, aren't their lakes safer?
I would think that the lakes would be much scarier, but I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I think clear water, just finding clear water so you can see the alligator in it and be like, not today. But murky water, that would be a little scary because then they just like
brackish.
come out and get you.
Yeah.
Scary, scary.
Okay.
But we do have fresh water at least. So
what about rainfall? How much?
It depends on when we're there.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is, again, a really volatile time for climate. We are shifting fast from like super wet to super dry, super wet to super dry. So it kind of just depends on what time of year we're dropped into the early Pleistocene, on whether it's going to be a little bit more arid and we're going to have to try a little bit harder for water, or if it's in like the wet season and we can just like sit out something to catch some rainwater. Yeah. Food? As far as meat goes, we've already talked that there's a ton of mega herbivores. So they are incredibly diverse. They're omnipresent. They're everywhere. But could we catch them? It's the main question. Because we got hippopotamids, we got elephants, so elephant relatives, we've got giraffe relatives, and we've mentioned Shivatherium already, which, I mean, these things are just bizarro. They are an extinct genus of giraffid, so it's a type of giraffe, and it's the largest giraffid known.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a modern okapi, but was far larger. It was more heavily
much
built.
bigger, right?
Much bigger. Yeah. They think it got up to like 2.2 meters, so 7.2 feet tall at the shoulder. And then 3 meters, 9.8. So almost 10 feet tall in total height, with a weight about 2,500 pounds at least. Probably something closer to 3,000 pounds. So 1,300 kilograms.
And very fast because it's tall and leggy.
I mean,
so hippos are more, I mean, at least in terms of modern day statistics, like hippos kill more people than like big cats do, right?
Yeah, and there's also wildebeest, which is like the most dangerous animal in Africa today.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. They mess people up. You get gored, you get trampled. There's safety in numbers for them, so you can get stampeded.
Oh, yeah.
They're just, and I think they're kind of mal-tempered. Like, they're not like, come up and pet me and let's be friends.
That seems like them.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I get.
I mean, they have to battle crocodiles and lions constantly. I don't think I would have a very good attitude either if I was a wildebeest.
Would you describe this as savanna?
It could be savanna.
Kind of?
Yeah,
Proto-savanna?
we've got like edges of woodlands separated by grasslands. It's not quite the big savannas that we got today. A little bit more water and a little bit more forest, but
because the first things I thought about in terms of prey species for us were cattle-like animals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think aurochs is a European animal, right? I don't know if that existed here.
But we do got a lot of bovids. So bovids are cattle, basically the cattle family. And
I had the president's mind to do some Googling around before this venture and came across Pilorovis, which is kind of like a longhorn cattle-like animal.
Yes, it's known as the monstrous sheep. It's like
a sheep?
Well, no. Well, it's a bovid. It's a wild cattle, but they call it a monstrous sheep. And I think it's because of the horns. They have real curved horns. But it's It's kind of like an African buffalo, only larger. So again, they're getting up into
almost like a gnu.
Yeah. They're getting up into the thousands of pounds. So like 2,600 pounds and males reaching 4,400 pounds.
Yeah. So why don't we just rustle up a couple of those, build a
Sure.
fence, and it is ranch up. It's free real estate.
Pit
That's
trap.
what I'm saying.
It's free real estate. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to take one on head on. Like we're gonna have to be crafty with this, like buffalo jump style, or like pit trap, or
right. We have to domesticate them first.
we gotta break some legs here, Blake. I mean, we gotta get them down because again, 4,400 pounds. That's more than my car weighs.
Yeah.
In an animal. So we might have to go for maybe smaller, the youths, some tasty calves, and or the old ones that aren't as fast and rambunctious. Definitely not going for the herd leader. Nope.
I wonder if a buffalo jump style thing would work on them.
I don't even know if there's enough elevation anywhere to buffalo jump them.
Yeah.
But like a pit
I forgot about the domestication part. That would be super impressive, though, for our folks to see us domesticating animals and like building a fence and just sort of like.
Maybe we'll steal a baby and see how far we can get with it.
Yeah.
See if it takes to us.
You steal the baby. I'll be building the fence, the corral.
Oh, man. We also have Metridiocaris, which is a type of suid. So a little piggy, but it's not really a little piggy. It's a giant warthog. They've got double tusks, which... that's no fun for me, at least. They got almost 5 feet in length. And yeah, they had these like double tusks, and they kind of pointed sideways and then curved upwards.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I bet they were
so ouchy
pain to deal with too.
Yeah.
So like while there is a lot of megafauna, we're going to have to be choosy, what we go after for sure. Because they can all kill us just with weight alone.
Ain't that always the way? Yeah.
I know. But we don't have to worry about water, at least. Most of the time, we don't have to worry about water.
Okay. Do we go back to how often does it rain? Is it a seasonal thing like a monsoon? And I'm also thinking about what song do we sing? When it starts to rain, we sing, there's the Rain Song by Led Zeppelin, The Rain by Ann Peebles, 1973, which Missy Elliott sampled. Do the Missy Elliott version.
Yes, we could do the Missy Elliott version. I know almost all the words to that song. Oh my God.
Okay.
Isn't there the Rains Down in Africa song?
What did I think of that? Toto.
Yeah.
What's the Rains Down in Africa? Why did I not think of that? It writes itself.
Yeah.
Maybe we actually wrote that song in the past because of this. Because we traveled back in time
and got some,
and then the rain. So we came back, and then wow, this is getting very meta. We got to sing that.
Yeah, we definitely.
We know the refrain, and we can kind of fake a way through the rest of it. They're not going to know.
They're not going to know. They're not going to know if we make up words or not and say non-words to the rhythm. They're not going to know. Yeah. So as for precipitation, kind of unknown at this point. I'm sure we could dig through the literature for an hour and find something, but it seems like there would have been some type of monsoonal climate, unknown about the severity of it, but we would have had precipitation at least some parts of the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll be there, but not very stable, not very predictable. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
But there's lakes and rivers, also crocs and hippos.
Yep.
The warthogs usually by the water.
Some people have suggested that this habitat, this woodland, grassland, mosaic environment and habitat played a role in Homo erectus's shift towards hunting. So these lake-margined grasslands could have been an important habitat for early hunting behavior because of the water sources. So they are an effective place to drink, find prey, and scavenge carcasses, which I'm gonna have real problems with it. It sounds real gross.
Yeah.
But
like I don't even like eating off other people's plates.
Yeah, this is going to be tough for you.
Their corpse.
But I guess, leaving meat out to like ferment also breaks it down and makes it easier to process. But I just like, let's just beat it. Let's just beat it soft. A little tenderizer mallet. We'll just make our own. Bam, 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 bam.
What does that do though?
Haven't you ever tenderized your meat?
Yeah, but then I cook it.
Well, yes. So that helps to break down the muscle fibers to make it easier to chew and easier to digest. And then cooking takes that one step farther and helps
interesting.
break it down even farther. So you get really, really tender, soft meat by
so you
just
can process the meat. But what about fermenting? That involves, like, you have to know what you're doing, right?
Yes.
Like,
I don't know. I mean, I don't.
What's the difference between fermenting and rotting? How can you tell? I
don't know. I don't know how you'd know it was good or not. Like, because when you smoke meat or you go out and kill something and try to smoke it, you have to do it really, really fast so the flies and stuff don't lay eggs on it. Like, it's got to be kind of a quick process here. So I remember
smoking the meat. Okay,
we talked.
That's a good option.
I like that option way more than trying to ferment it. Because
that's something I think you have to know what you're doing.
What was it? Our fermentation episode, I think we talked about a researcher putting a horse carcass at the bottom of a lake.
Yes.
And then dragging it up. And then ate it. And he was like, yeah, it's fine. But I think that our carcasses, if we tried to do that in any of these lakes, they would just be eaten by the crocodiles. So maybe not the best. I'm with you. I'm going to try to make jerky. We'll smoke the meat and kill fresh stuff and not scavenge. Because
I'm still feeling pretty good about this, though.
Yeah.
Fire, lots of prey species. I don't know. Like, we are smart. There are trees to climb.
There's trees to
climb. There are
climb.
the places where there has not been trees. Like, we just like go into the water, but then there are more pointy animals in there.
Right.
So we don't have that problem.
Yeah. So what's your endurance running like? How far could you run without stopping?
Oh, gosh. That's an excellent question. Not very far. So fun fact about me is I broke my left leg rock climbing like over 10 years ago. And I still have hardware in my left leg.
Oh, really?
So I can run, but not very fast or very long.
Yeah.
So when you get home, just tell my folks I say goodbye.
Well, so we could watch this from a distance play out because I wouldn't be able to keep up. I'd get there later on in the evening. But there are some researchers that have suggested that Homo erectus participated in persistence hunting. So long distance running and basically just overcoming the fact that hominins are not as fast as their prey, but we seem to be able to endure it longer by regulating our body temperature, sweating, that sort of thing. So we literally just run our prey to exhaustion and then kill them. But
that's what a lot of canids do too, right?
Yeah. And there's still populations in Africa today that are persistence hunters as well. And so like this is still a thing that happens.
Interesting. Okay.
Just not for me.
I have to do some training. Maybe more of a relay. I don't know. We could do it, though. We could make it happen.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we could watch them go and then just keep up our pace and get there later in the evening and be like, what can I carry?
Oh, because they're already doing it.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
We'll let them do the chasing.
Right. And we'll show up at the
we
end.
just that cleanup.
Yes, exactly. We're the cleanup hitters.
I love that.
And we'll just get in there. And like I said, we'll offer our abilities to carry. Maybe we'll make bags or something. Be like, look at this. You can put your stuff in it.
Yeah, totally. Or like a parfledge or something you can just sort of like drag.
Yeah, drag it.
You.
Yeah. Like build something, be like, watch this. You get 2 sticks and a hide, and then you just pull it. Just drag it with you.
Oh, yeah. We're going to make a lot of friends. See, I think, we got skills.
We got skills.
Not vocal skills, but like.
But they won't know.
Yeah.
They won't know. They won't know how.
There are things they can learn from us, so we can press them just by like hafting together a couple of sticks and like a skin.
Right.
To make a sort of sled parfledge kind of thing.
Yeah. We can make traps.
So they had stone tools, but probably nothing
tools.
Hafted, right? Nothing hafted on like, they don't have spears or anything that I would associate
I don't think so.
with.
I think we're hand axe style at this moment.
Yeah.
But pointy sticks, I would assume. Everybody loves a good pointy stick. So
gets the job done.
Yeah. So we could have our own and then maybe put one of their hand axes on it and completely blow their minds. We're going to increase their evolution by 1 million years.
Wow. Are we allowed to do that though?
I don't know. We're going to have to. I mean, we have to survive somehow. And our craftiness is going to be one of the things. Maybe this population doesn't actually make it through and it won't really mess up anything, but you never know.
Yeah.
Or we give them a cold and wipe them all out. Which I guess if we can catch their colds, they could catch our colds too. So.
I didn't think about that. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Yep. So we'll have to make sure that we're both healthy before we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if we have
I was going to say to take some antibiotics before we go.
Mm-hmm.
If that's one of the things we can take with us, but then there are viruses and stuff.
Yeah. How would you know which ones to take? I mean, I guess you could just take at least a thing of penicillin. That kind of wipes out most everything, especially none of them diseases have ever seen penicillin yet. So we don't have to worry about any resistant strains at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. But I guess if we have any trouble getting like the megafauna or catching up with our relatives on their persistence hunting, we still have like the lake environments themselves, and they're absolutely rich with aquatic plants and prey species like fish and shellfish.
I was just going to say, we haven't talked about fishing yet.
Yeah, so definitely on the menu for sure for little turtles and everything. We're going to have to probably, we could make a pot out of a turtle shell again.
Oh, yeah.
Blow some
Make turtle soup.
Make turtle soup. Yep. We've got all sorts of fruits as well, fruits and seeds that we can harvest, as long as we know how to eat them, because some of these things are not safe to eat.
Yeah. We could watch Paranthropus, right? See what dudes do what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we could definitely watch and see what they do. So there's this one genus,
interesting,
Blaia, that is in the soapberry family, and it's said to have a nutty taste, but you got to be careful because unripened, it's poisonous. And also it seems like everything about this fruit except for the flesh is poisonous. So we got to be real careful. They look really weird.
I was going to say, what's it look like? How do you know it?
It's okay. So this is how I described it in the notes. It kind of looks like a red bell pepper. And the outside like kind of opens like a flower, like it peels open, and you can see like these 3 big black seeds that kind of look like big eyeballs looking at you. It's very kind of creepy looking. And it's surrounded by an edible fleshy yellow rills, which is like the meat of it. And then that leathery orange or red skin, again, it's very poisonous. The seeds are poisonous. The peel is poisonous. Everything but the fruity, fleshy stuff in the inside is poisonous.
The yellow part
is what you can eat. It does. It like opens kind of like a flower to reveal these big, giant black seeds setting in a yellow, fleshy stuff. Does not look very appetizing, but I'd eat it. I wouldn't starve. I would eat it. So.
But again, we have lots of meat, but also balanced diet. Food groups.
But at least there are 4 genus of plants that have edible fruits and seeds that are known from this area of Africa. So we have at least 4 choices. And like you said, following around Paranthropus and being like, hey, what are you eating? How are you eating it?
Yeah.
Would be also very smart too, for sure. Mm-hmm.
What are these genera of, are they grasses?
They are trees and shrubs that have fruits on them.
Mm-hmm. Anything I might have heard of?
Probably.
Or that still exists today?
Yes, they still exist today. Drypetes. There's like 6 species of these, and they're all edible tropical fruits, and they're kind of small, red, berry-sized in like clusters, if you will. And they're still eaten in Sri Lanka today. There's a couple of other ones. I have no idea how to pronounce them. I don't know if you would know them either. But I do at least have a description of them to hopes that I eat the right one.
Yes, please bring that with us. Right.
Yes, bring my notes for sure. But also the best part about this, I think, the whole kit and caboodle is that there's evidence that Homo erectus was eating honey. And that I can get on board with, other than the getting.
You mentioned this at the beginning, and I was sufficiently tantalized. Yes, honey. So what evidence is there of this, though?
Well, we've got bees. We've got honey-making bees, and we know that. So there are some bees around. And
They've been around a long time, right?
they have.
Honeybees?
They've been around. But we've got a couple of examples of these hominins that have lost their teeth due to like gum disease. And that usually is due to eating a lot of sugar. Like we have trouble with it today because we have such a high sugar diet. And so that might be an effect of eating way too much honey is you rotted all your teeth out. And if they didn't already eat honey, we can introduce them to eating honey.
Oh, wow.
Be like, watch this and get a little smoky branch going and get all the smoke up there and then knock off a honeycomb and be like, try this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yep. And then obviously,
like the stingy insects bring food, which is really counterintuitive. That would be really impressive.
I know.
Right. So there's not like chemical evidence, say, of Homo erectus eating honey. It's more like this correlation of tooth loss.
Yeah.
And that's probably the sweetest thing around.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a couple other ones that have like horrible abscesses in their teeth and stuff like that. Yeah. So whether or not, they lost them due to injury or impact to the face or something like that, but it seems like it was a gum disease. So it could be due to too much sugar, and the most obvious sugar thing in their environment is honey. Again,
interesting.
If they're not eating it, we could blow some minds by getting some honey and introducing everybody to some honey. But I bet they were eating it. This is their environment. They evolved here. They live here. They survive here. They try to survive there. So I bet nothing is really...
And it's a great source of quick energy if you're into persistence hunting.
For sure. Yeah.
Take some honeycomb with you.
Exactly. Yep.
So no matter how generalized you are, no matter how generalized your diet is, how do you survive in this environment without teeth if you lose your teeth?
Friends and family. Also, lots of stuff can be smushed and soft, like insects, bug larvae. They're soft. You could gum that.
Yeah.
And if you've ever watched a toddler that doesn't have teeth yet, I mean, they gum the heck out of everything.
Yeah, it can mash up like tubers and roots and things.
Yep. Yeah. And cooking soft meats and making a meaty paste out of it. Yum.
Yeah.
Gross.
I'll hold on to these for as long as I can.
Right. I know. Me too. I would love to hold on to my original set for the whole time. That'd be great.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see how far I can get. Yep. So bugs are obviously, they've been on the menu for a very long time now. And there's a lot of modern foragers that still utilize like beetle larvae and things like that. We've mentioned roots and tubers. They're around and available, which is good.
Nice and starchy and You
get a good starch for us. Yep. But overall, it seems like the key is being flexible. And that's probably why our genus did so well during this time period. Is just being flexible. Exactly. Just eating everything, seeing if it hurts you. And then if it doesn't, you keep eating it.
Which is interesting because it's like a cost-benefit analysis, right? Like Paranthropus, they were vegetarians and foragers, right? So it's low risk, low reward.
Right.
And also more specialized, which makes them more vulnerable, but low risk.
Low risk.
So they don't run the risk of, getting eaten by a giant baboon.
Oh my gosh.
The way I would.
They could be so
or when you're
bad.
hunting.
Yeah.
Things go sideways pretty quickly, and they're just there eating their nuts, watching us, getting our butts handed to us from like, oh, it sucks to be those guys. But little did they know. That we are generalized. And so we're playing the long game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it looks like we're going to be pretty good as long as we're not too picky with our foods. We've got lots of foods. We got fresh water. We've got mega herbivores, all sorts of them. We could cook and process our meat, probably not the fermentation style, but other ways. Persistence hunting will catch up at the end of the day and help carry stuff back and shock them with our awesome tools and sleds. And of course, you got the lake environments and all the aquatic plants and insects and fruits and seeds from all the trees and shrubs. So it's like and honey. And we got honey and bugs, of course. We can dip some beetle larvae in honey and make it a little easier to eat.
What's interesting to me is how much we have talked about like trying to impress these other hominins. But in the process of doing that, we're also talking about how much we are learning from them. Like they have already invented persistence hunting, which would not occur to me. I'd be like, oh, that the delicious animal is running away really fast. Oh, well.
Yeah, bye.
You know, then you have the great good sense to like chase after the chasers so that we can like have their leftovers. But they're already using fire, you know, and we could like, you mentioned following like paranthropus around to see what they are scavenging so we know what to eat, what not to eat. And the relationship between our species, I think, seems very complimentary to me. I feel good about it.
Yeah.
I think we can make a lot of friends. Again, not too close because who knows, I don't want to catch anything or give them anything. Or what's wrong with me is mostly not contagious, to be honest. But I think we could leave with a healthy relationship in place with these folks.
Yeah, me too. So our last two categories are the planet and environmental hazards, and they kind of go together, which meshes well. So let's talk about like what the planet is like at this time. So are we going to run into any problems there? It's like generally not bad. If you like the heat, I do not like the heat, but
so do I.
I could deal with it probably. So the Omo-Turkana region east of Lake Turkana is made up of a wide range of environments and vegetation types. And so while woodlands dominated the basin prior to 2 million years, the area has become more heterogeneous, and it now includes not just woodlands, but also wooded grasslands. So we've got a lot to work with here. Got a lot of different things, a lot of different environments. There's also frequent volcanism. And so this...
Oh, there is? Yes. Interesting. Okay.
And that likely played a role in maintaining high levels of environmental variability, both in time and space across the region, and provided an ecological opportunities for the coexistence of at least the 3 hominin species that we've talked about alongside this diverse mammalian fauna.
So how close / far away are these volcanoes? Like close enough that we have to worry about them?
They would definitely spill some ash. We would get ash falls from them. We would be looking at the volcanoes in the distance, but we're close enough to get the ash. We wouldn't get the lahars. We probably wouldn't get any volcanic bombs or stuff like that, but definitely ash falls.
Okay.
Yep. And so even though these grasslands are expanding during this time, the forests will provide our food and our water and our shelter and things like that. So we'll venture out during the day before it gets too hot and then go back to the forest in the hot part of the day. So we don't get sunburned.
Right. Now think about that also. Forests are shade and a certain amount of shelter from the monsoons.
So like really the planet's not that bad right now. Other than, you know,
I feel good about it.
The occasional volcanoes, which they were active. They were definitely active. There was one study that found between 1.4 and 1.6 million years ago, there are almost 60 tephra layers that have been found, and these represent those ashfall deposits.
Wow.
Yeah. Over the course of 200,000 years, we got 60 of them.
That's still pretty often.
That's pretty often.
That's quite frequent. Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on, you know, like our luck of the draw, we could definitely have to deal with ashfall of some kind while we're there, which is pretty gross. Hopefully we still have our clothes and can make a face covering of some kind because you don't want to breathe that stuff in. It's pretty nasty.
That might mess up the values of my Pelorollis ranch. the real estate, the South 40 I want to start.
Yeah, it might help you. It might hurt you. I don't know.
I'd have to disclose that, and then when I sign it over to a Homo erectus or something,
right?
Just put it in the fine print.
Fine print.
They won't see it.
Don't read any of this. You'll Classic. Let's see. Oh, we got bushfires. That might be one of the ways that hominins are being introduced to fire and being able to utilize it.
And how are they started? By lightning strikes?
Usually, or volcanic episodes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
That's wildfires is not a risk that I thought about. But that makes sense when you're in grassy areas that's sort of getting colder and drier.
Yep. So we'd have to keep our nose to the wind and watch out for any smoke. There's not a lot of places to hide if you get a big bushfire, big grass fire, and they move crazy fast. And depending on how hot they are, it won't help you to climb a tree. So we might have to like jump into some water with large carnivores.
With the crocs.
And the hippos.
Yep. And the hippos.
Man. Yep. But hopefully at that, like maybe there's a truce during a wildfire. Like, okay, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna
You
eat
think?
you.
You think that's how it works? You're like,
I doubt.
just go up to the edge of the lake. Like, I'm sorry, fellas.
Look,
I don't want to
it's
horn in
fire.
your territory, but we have a thing.
Yeah.
If we could just,
Time
out the
out.
predation just for 2 weeks.
I doubt that would help, but you never know. But you never know. But just tolerating the volatile variability of the climate is also just hot, cold. Well, not really cold, but hot, wet, dry, wet, dry, wet, dry, wet. That's going to be a pain to deal with, I think, personally. And the heat, although it is normal heat, it's much like the region today, but we don't want to get heat stroke. And I don't want to get sunburnt either. I think it's almost impossible for me not to get sunburnt, but like I'm going to try real hard not to get sunburnt because that just sounds awful. Also, they're going to think something's wrong with us if we just have pink, peely skin all over our bodies.
True, yeah.
I mean, they're not worried about getting sunburned, but we are. So
right.
But
we have skins we can make clothes out of, plant material.
Yeah, we can use mud as sunscreen.
True, yeah. Keep the bugs off also.
Oh gosh, I didn't even think about malaria is not a problem for us yet.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that actually.
No.
Insect-borne vectors of disease.
At least malaria, no. But there could be something else that we have no idea about.
Interesting.
So yeah, not getting bit by a bunch of mosquitoes would also be choice. So this area today is typically above 30 degrees Celsius and also as high as 35 degrees Celsius. So that's 86 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, which that is well beyond my comfort zone. But
I'll be I'll be okay with it, but for a while, only for a while. And I got to stay hydrated.
Right.
And there's place for shade.
Yeah. As long as I can get out of like the beating sun, it changes a lot. It really does. If I'm not, again, getting sunburned. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's going to be rough for me. I'm going to whine and moan and complain the entire time. It's too hot. I'm sweaty. Ew, I'm sunburned.
Oh. Yeah. I'll be there way before you are. I'll be on like Google Maps like, Kelly, there's no signal.
That's going to be a tough one. Oh, man. Yep. Point out the stars. I don't know my Southern Hemisphere stars.
Neither do I. That's interesting.
I only know the Southern Cross, and it's only available in like their winter time, which would be our summertime. So if I don't know anything about Southern Hemisphere star systems because they wouldn't really be that much different than today. I mean, it would still look mostly the same.
Not too long ago, right?
Yeah, no. I think there's only been like one supernova since then, so we might have an extra star, but for the most part,
but I wouldn't know the difference.
Yeah,
right?
Me neither. I don't know anything about Southern Hemisphere. So really, our environmental hazards, our geological hazards are the volcanoes. So the ash falls, we got to watch out for those. We don't want to breathe too much of that ash in. That's going to be bad. And bushfires. And then just the heat. So out of all the places we've traveled thus far, that doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah, they're all things that our species deal with on a regular basis today.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, if you live in Iceland, you got to deal with ash falls.
Yeah.
If you live in Montana, you got to deal with wildfires. It's not too bad.
Like it's 70 degrees here, but it was, I think I saw 4 feet of snow on the pass, and we were talking about the volatility and environment. It's like, yeah, Montana in the spring.
Right. You never know what you're going to get. Never know.
Yeah.
It could be 80 degrees. It could be 20 degrees. Who knows? Who knows? So we've got our environmental hazards. We've talked about animal hazards. We've talked about all of the food and water issues that actually I feel like there's not a lot of issues with that either. And like overall the planet, it's pretty good. It's generally not bad. So, all right. So now that you know a bit more about the early Pleistocene, what do you think about your chances of survival? And do you still want to go?
Absolutely. Yeah. I want to, like I said, I want to go there and meet some folks, make some new friends.
Yeah.
Learn some things that our species already knows, but I personally don't, like about persistence hunting or how to make fire in the wild. Scout out some real estate, hug some animals, hug some big herbivores.
Not die in the process.
Yeah. And I'm cautiously optimistic.
Yeah.
I'm pretty uncautiously optimistic, actually, about our chances. I think that we will come back having made new friends and made new connections. And be 10 and rested and ready.
Right.
You would be burnt.
I would be burnt to an absolute crisp. Yes, 100%. I would be burnt. But yeah, as long as we don't start any introgenous wars or anything like that, I think we'll be pretty good. We'll be pretty good. I do think we also have a great chance of survival, and I would also want to go for sure. Yep. What's the biggest mystery we could solve about this period if we could just go there?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest mystery, probably, we talk a lot about how difficult, approaching impossible it is to glean behavior from the fossil record.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a point here where paleontology becomes archaeology and anthropology. And I would love to learn more about Homo erectus in particular, just because they were such a successful species. Like, what was the secret to their success? What was their behavior like? You know? I think that we have gleaned a fair amount, but I want to witness what their skills were, and like their ability to travel, to communicate. Do they have things that we would describe as customs and culture?
Right.
You know, I would assume so.
Yeah, and the language, like, what do they sound like? Do they?
Yeah.
Is it hands? Is it voice? Is it both? I mean, they had vocal cords, so what was their language?
Actually, I didn't know that they did. That's interesting.
Oh yeah.
They're the species to root for, and they ended up not making it. But I would love to know, like, we are here because of their success.
Right.
And so I want to know, what is the secret to their success?
Yes.
And how are we similar and how are we different? What did we learn or inherit from them?
Mhm.
I think that's what I like to learn.
Yep, that's a good one.
How about you?
That's basically the same. How'd they live? How'd they communicate? How big were their groups? Like, how far could they actually run? You know, like how?
Yeah.
Yes, it's the most successful Homo genus in like group that we've ever had. Like, we have so far to go before we're even close to the Homo erectus times period. Yeah. So just like, what made you the best? Because we're too early to know why they didn't make it. We can't answer that question.
Right.
But we could definitely answer, why were they so successful, I think. What about them made them so successful? So Homo erectus was around about 1.5 million years. So that's from the earliest known fossil to the latest known fossil. 1.5 million years. I know million. Homo sapiens, our species, has only been around 300,000 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is
like a fifth of that.
Yeah.
And we have completely transformed the planet for good or for ill in the ways that Homo erectus did not.
No, and
which I find fascinating.
We've only done that in like a very short period of, I mean, you know, like agriculture started 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And we've done everything that we've done in about 12,000 years, basically, which is shocking. That's mind-blowing.
That's astonishing.
How fast we've moved as soon as we started moving, basically. But yeah, we have a long way to catch up to Homo erectus. I don't know if we will. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. Maybe we'll. I don't know what's going to happen to us.
Simpler times, right? Like a simpler species, simpler culture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Part of me thinks that we might go back there and I would see how they lived and I'm like, oh, I could make a nice life for myself here.
Right.
Maybe I won't go back.
Maybe I won't go back. Maybe I'll be okay without like checking my phone all the time and having the world's knowledge at my fingertips. Maybe that'll be okay. Maybe I'll survive and be all right. I might not last as long as I could in the 21st century, but maybe simpler times. Yeah. All right. So what's one item you'd take there with you? Like, what's your one item that you would take with you?
Oh, to take with me. At first I thought like a hafted spear, some kind of hafted stone point, but we could make that there, right?
Yeah.
Like we don't need to bring that. Same with fire.
We could make it, but it would also be pretty cool to just be like, and just have it in our hands.
Yeah, you mentioned a lighter.
A lighter would be fun.
I thought first about hunting, but maybe...
I feel like anything metal would be a good choice because they don't have metal.
True. Yes.
Like a machete or a shovel or, I don't know.
Better singing voice. If we want to
an auto-tuner.
Really forge connections.
A solar-powered auto-tuner.
That's it. Solar karaoke machine. Yes, that's it.
Get the beats. So we'll...
I come here in beats.
And then I'm going to sing you some Toto. Yeah, that'd be pretty funny. I don't know, maybe a mosquito net.
Because there will be mosquitoes there, right?
There will be mosquitoes.
But not malaria, but still. and a lot of fresh water at that elevation.
We could use it as a net.
Oh, that's clever. That's actually very clever. Yeah. We haven't talked a lot about fishing, but there's a lot of opportunity there. So you'd bring mosquito net, and I'd bring a karaoke machine.
Part of me wants to. Part of me still is going with that lighter, man. I feel like we would be either that or they'd beat me to death and steal my lighter. Like, I don't know. It might be a good thing. It might be a bad thing. As long as I have the lighter, I'm safe, I think. But
yeah,
if they got the lighter, they might start all the bushfires and kill us all anyways. So
that's true. You can't let them play with it.
No.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not a toy.
Maybe I will just bring a mosquito net.
Erectus.
This lighter thing has gotten way more complicated.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
Mosquito net has more uses. That's a very good idea.
Yeah, and as long as we can find some good flint. Although there's no metal. So like we would literally have to use super old school way instead of using a flint up against like a magnesium rod or something like that. But I think we could do it. Or teach them how to carry their coals around.
So many ways to impress them. Again, you're more outdoorsy than I am, so I leave that part to you.
I don't know. I mean, this is the ultimate outdoorsy people we're talking about here. They just don't have all the tools that we have at our fingertips in the 21st century, but still, like they are one with their environment. That's for sure. For 1.5 million years, they were one with their environment. That's
astonishing.
Astonishing. All right. So what's one non-living souvenir you'd want to bring back with you to the modern
I've thought about this a lot.
Okay.
And, I'm really taken with my business model going in was to to domesticate Pelorovis. And I think they're going to die for natural causes, or maybe I'll just, we'll have a barbecue and we'll have our friends over and have a Pelorovis barbecue. And I want to take the horns, a set of horns from Pelorovis back and then mount them on the front of the hood of my car.
Yes. Oh, yeah, because you got a Jeep. That'll look real nice.
Yeah.
That'll look real nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
I've put a surprising amount of thought into this.
Yep. No, that's pretty good. I'd probably take back some Shiva Therium antlers or horns or ossicones.
Yeah.
They're ossicones, but
Yeah.
they're like these big flat paddle things. They're so weird.
And again, you have to scavenge them because they're so big. Let them fall
I would
over.
definitely have to scavenge those for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. I'd be okay with scavenging that because I'm not going to eat it. Not going to eat it. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. I would though.
You would eat the dead stuff?
I mean, it depends. Like, if we smoke it.
Oh, yeah. If there's some processing happening.
I eat delicious animals, which I know you don't. Yeah.
I'm basically going to have to give up vegetarianism for all of these episodes to survive. So it's going to have to happen. But also, like, I'm mostly a vegetarian because of domesticated meat, and that whole process is kind of horrific. And so there is none of that back in these days.
True.
So I think it would be easier for me to make the switch back to a meat eater. We'll see how my gut likes it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Good point.
Whatever. All right, Blake. Well, this was fun. We're going to sing. We're going to dance. We're going to impress with our skills. We're going to eat.
Good time is had by all.
Yeah.
Right?
Everybody's going to have a great time. We're going to teach. I'm going to sing you the songs of my peoples. And we'll see how that goes over. Hopefully they take it as entertainment and not a threat.
Yeah, that's true. They might think we're threatening them when they hear the sound of my singing voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like is smiling a thing yet? Like, should we bare our teeth? Is that like
interesting?
Is that
social cues, right?
Mm-hmm. We're gonna have to be careful.
Interesting,
for sure.
Yeah. Or like if you like baboons we're talking about. If you show too much of the whites of your eyes.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah. So
no, ma'am.
Maybe we'll have to sit back and watch for a little while.
Yeah.
And then introduce ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Get the customs down before we break them all.
Right. Pad and paper and a pith helmet.
Yeah. All right. Adult female 1. Yeah. That'd be fun. But I think we're going to survive. I think we're going to do it.
Yes, I feel good about it.
Yep.
For once.
Yeah, for once.
After going through late Permian, Ordovician.
Yeah, you had some...
This is the most familiar to
me.
Yes,
definitely the
most little
most
uncanny, familiar. Like we said, but also familiar.
Also familiar. All right. Until next time.
Okay. Let's do it again.
Yeah. From the woodland, you glance back towards the lakeshore one last time. You've survived the early Pleistocene. Your flexibility has served you well, an adaptation handed down to you by these Homo relatives or species not too distant from them. By exploiting diverse food sources, you've been able to take advantage of each of the ecosystems within this mosaic. In particular, the ability to eat meat has provided a rich source of calories, a necessary thing to keep a metabolically expensive big brain working. But Paranthropus does not fare as well. Their more restricted, specialist diet leaves them vulnerable as the environment rapidly changes around them. Even with a potential toolkit, their specialization means that they will not see the Middle or Late Pleistocene epochs. Your survival has hinged on taking cues from the relatives around you. Observing how they harness fire and use tools to butcher carcasses has allowed you to eke out an existence here, despite the occasional volcanic eruptions and rapid climate swings. But the feature of this period that leaves the deepest impression on you is the coexistence of multiple hominins. While this won't be the last period when hominin species coexist, it is one of the most formative ones. For Homo erectus, the behaviors you've observed will allow them to spread beyond Africa, populating other continents. The adaptations they acquired catapulting them into becoming arguably the widest-ranging and longest-lasting hominin species. When you return home, the world will feel noticeably emptier. By the end of the late Pleistocene, all of the others will go extinct, leaving us Homo sapiens as the sole hominin on the planet. And while this feels natural to most people today, given that it's the only existence we've ever known, you now grasp how truly unique it is to be the only humans left. Thanks for joining us on this journey into deep time. Tune in next time for our Q&A episode, where all 4 Eons hosts will reflect on their time travel adventures and answer your questions. And in the meantime, you can find us telling more stories from our planet's past over at youtube.com/eons. This episode was written by Dr. Paige Madison, fact-checked by me, Callie Moore, and hosted by me and Blake DiPastino. It was edited by Chris Ankiko, and our sound design and mix was by Callie Dishman. The show is produced by Sarah Suda, our script editor is Dr. Paige Madison, and our editorial director is Dr. Darcy Shapiro. Our executive producers are Seth Radley and Hank Green. The executive in charge for PBS is Maribel Lopez, and John Campbell is PBS's Assistant Director of Programming. Eons Surviving Deep Time is a production of Complexly for PBS Digital Studios, and we are distributed by PRX. Until next time, you can always visit us over at youtube.com/eons for more stories from Deep Time.